It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
All right, everybody, welcome back. And we got a doozy for you today. So shout out to Andrea for submitting this. Apparently, they wrote up a pretty well detailed and thought out post, and I'm going to show you the post in a moment. But as you can see, the Discord has shown us yet again another case of the Reddit mods on a power trip, absolutely crashing out and losing their minds within their Reddit, right? You know, I mean, this is their only way to, I guess, feel big and proud, right? Because they get to hang out on internally online spaces and remove posts that they disagree with. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at the actual post. Okay, so we got the post right here, and it reads, titled, "I don't understand how a killer can beat a SWF squad using voice chat." And it says, how do you actually beat SWFs on voice comms with low-tier killers? I'm specifically asking about competent SWFs actively using voice chat, not just pre-mades. I'm not looking for perk suggestions because you usually don't know they're on comms until the trial's already underway. I mostly play lower tier killers. Trickster and Trapper are my main, sometimes Pig, Freddy, and Dredge, which you guys already know I used to do the same. I mained Ghostface, Freddy pre-rework, stuff like that. I've even played him recently, stuff like that, with the rework and whatnot and so forth. Sadako, yada yada yada. So I can tell you from firsthand that the biggest balancing problem with DBD is the fact that you simply just to kind of save you a little bit of time, you just kind of can't. The game is not designed around it, because you know, a lot of characters like Pig or Freddy are, you know, countered by and even Trapper are countered by teamwork and the fact that they can communicate. Trapper especially, because like you can have one person that's coordinating, like, hey, like they'll most likely have a designated like trap remover, and they'll just go through the map, either following you or they'll hear from their teammate, oh, there's one here by the shack window, or oh, there's one there by the tractor, there's one over there by the pallet, or one over there, and whatever the case may be, and they'll just go around and disable them. And then because you're so slow, it's not like you can go back and open it again. Or like Pig, they can just 99 your gens, and you have to pretty much just like utilize all your strategies. You're gonna have to tunnel, you're gonna have to camp, you're gonna have to do these things, especially on a character like Pig, like Trapper. And Trickster, I think, is tricky too, because he's very slow in everything he does, especially with the rework and everything like that. Even Dredge, M1 killer. I mean, even with the lockers, they get locked, which they're probably gonna lock all of them because it's coordinated. You're just stuck in there trying to shamble your way out and break it, and it just takes too long, you know. And then that's the unfortunate flaw when it comes down to low tier killers versus like just people with communication. It has always been this way, and I've constantly been trying to advocate for that, but that's kind of the issue, you know. And I hate to say it, like, you know, and there's just certain things, like I've said before, is that you just can't outskill, and communication is that thing a lot of the time. Like, depending on your character's power, you just kind of can't do that unless you have like hundreds of hours dedicated to facing these players and constantly doing that over and over and over, and being able to try to like get in their head and think about what they're going to try to plan to do. It still isn't guaranteed, but at least you have a better shot. But that's a tall ask, right? Not everybody has the time to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not a fun experience for the majority of players. Let's continue. So they say, first chase, 1 and 2 gens pop on the opposite side of the map. Leave hook. They call exactly when I'm far enough and save immediately. Usually with resurgence anyway, which, mind you, cannot counter resurgence. It is just, it takes what, 2 to 3 perk slots to counter 1 perk. It's not worth it. Some people say, oh, but just use Jagged and Gift the Pain and use leverage, and it's like, that's 3 perks to counter 1. Because, you know, you'll have the one person that'll say that, oh, but you just put on blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, but you know, it's 70% healing progression. So like, how far are we really gonna go with that, right? They say camping hook, of course, leads to the survivor hooking themselves, which is true. They say patrol gens, they call out my location before I leave, before I arrive. Go for pickup. I check around like I always do, see nothing, but suddenly there's a perfectly positioned blind while carrying Sabo or coordinated two-man body block. Normally, I don't really struggle much with flashlight, sabos, or body blocks. It's the precision that comes completely different on comms. Sometimes survivors actually generally look like somebody's counting 3, 2, 1, go, because 2+ survivors move at exactly the same second. Even slugging when I'm completely out of options often achieves nothing. They stop doing gens, gather around the slugs, and keep picking each other up over and over with perfectly coordinated timing, and they often have unbreakable and conviction anyway. And this ties back into what I was saying before, where it just kind of boils down to that. Like, there really isn't a lot of options for the player, especially when you're going against just like coordination, like voice comms, Swift, like whatever the case may be. It just isn't a lot of choices. There is not a lot of options. And they say even slugging when I'm out of options achieves nothing. They stop doing gens, gather around the slugs, and keep picking each other up over and over with perfectly coordinated timing. And they often, yeah, which I read that. They say, honestly, I can't even tell whether these players are individually much better than me and whether it's actually a skill issue on my part. The problem is that it's such a huge percentage of what they're doing is enhanced by constant info sharing that I don't know what lesson I'm supposed to take from the match. Now, that's something I've talked about in my previous videos when I mentioned that, put simply, like, you cannot outskill a lot of things in the game, and that's my problem with it. There is just simply not a way to outskill, you know, whether it be the perk combinations, whether it be the buffs that they've received, whether it be the coordination, the voice comp. It just is not a way to do that, like with full confidence and accuracy. It just isn't possible, because of the fact that if they just have endurance off of the ground, that's still full 10 seconds. You can't do anything. They can still run around and then do the gen and or heal this person or do that or get off the ground and then do this or do that, and or you know, whatever combination of things. And it's like you're just limited, like, and it's just impossible to win against. And you know, and you can win in some of these matches. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, when I've done my spreadsheets, when going, like, winning with Ghostface, stuff like that, I had about an 80% win rate, which was consisted of 3 or 4Ks, which counted as a win. A lot of ties though, and of course a lot of losses, but overall you could say, hey, like 80% is not bad. But keep in mind that I dedicated like a couple hundreds of hours basically to that character to be able to flow and be able to know exactly what to do when. But I can't even imagine, like, but nobody else is really gonna do that. Like, that's not really a good thing. Like, you shouldn't have people that are trying to play casually that are gonna be having to deal with like these kinds of matches, and that it really isn't any fun to be had, because it requires so much time investment that to the point you're just like high cortisol gaming. Like, it's not even fun anymore. I can say that with confidence. That's what happened to me. It wasn't fun anymore. I wanted to win, but then after that, it's like the win it was hollow. It meant nothing, you know? So they say that's frustrating because I'm actually trying to improve as killer and go against similar skill players to mine instead of obliterating new players. For the past 3 months, my matchmaking has worked like this. I get a newer or very casual survivors that don't really teach me anything. Win 4 to 5 matches, encounter almost every kind of toxicity in nearly every trial. Move upward, then get a very coordinated, calm Swift with every decision gets called out. Lose, have a miserable time with basically every in-game action, plus toxicity during or after the match anyway. Then drop back down again. The cycle repeats. This is something that I've had to deal with as a competitive individual myself. You guys already know, you know, because I've been going for wins as long as I've been playing the game, and only recently I finally was able to just be just done with it. Like, I just kind of quit because I focused more of my competitive nature into like something like Marvel Rivals, where I can say with confidence that my effort does make a difference. Like, me learning the character, I can see myself improving. I can see my timings getting better. I can see my aim getting better. I'm adjusting settings. I'm looking at videos and guides and trying to look at, you know, in what areas that I can kind of improve on. And with DBD, it's like, it's not a game that really allows you to do that. It's not a game that you are rewarded for being good at, especially as a killer. Because there's so many base kit things that are just removing your agency, and then that is why I I've constantly said, like, improving at this game is just really not it. Like, and I understand, like, that mentality. Like, I'm speaking for myself because I am also competitive, right? Because this person says, I don't mind losing, I'm not try hard to learn techs, etc., but I am competitive. The games are overall are probably somewhere around 55% kill rate. What bothers me is that these particular matches feel like they give me nothing useful to learn from. Just 6 to 10 minutes of being constantly countered, followed fairly but often by teabagging, flashlight clicking, and people laughing at how easy the match was. But that's what I'm saying, right? Why is it that killers are getting demolished by just people saying where something is or doing where something is? That in itself is the biggest flaw the game has. I've been saying that for ages. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's flawed. Like, there's no reason that killers should be powerless just because you know where something is. It's just ridiculous. It's insane. But let's continue. So they say, I've actually reached the point where if it becomes completely obvious that it's a strong SWF using voice comms, I just go AFK and make coffee or something. Not because I care about the loss, but because playing out the rest of the match feels genuine, like I'm basically a decoration for somebody else's entertainment. When I actually try, I get shit on in exchange. This pretty much summarizes exactly what I've been experiencing with the game, basically. And that's why I stopped. And I hate to discourage somebody who's like on that same path as myself in that sense. However, I think that's the only way. If you're a competitive individual, I would have to just say, like, you're switch to another game that rewards you for being competitive. For me, it was Marvel Rivals. For me, I was like, you know, my competitive self, I'm focusing on improving because that's what, you know, that's how you get better, right? That's how you get better. That's how you win. And with Marvel Rivals in particular, like, for me, I just felt like, and quite literally saw as well, that me improving at my characters was making an impact. Like, if I'm playing Black Cat, right, and I'm improving with Black Cat, and I'm killing their backline, right, I'm knocking out those healers, or I'm getting their cooldowns out, because a lot of healers will have really strong cooldowns. So I'm like, hey, if I can get some of those out while they're fighting, come back later, try to hit them again, you know, keep harassing them so they can't just keep healing uncontested and doing whatever they want, and potentially even kill them. That means that my team who's fighting this team will like, they'll be able to gain a big advantage because they're not perceiving healing. The damage is more impactful. So that thing I'm doing is creating this big impact into a match. Comparatively, when I look at a game like DBD, it's like, it doesn't matter how good I am, it doesn't matter what hours I have, it doesn't matter what I know about the game. Because at any moment, the game will just say, nope, what you know, that doesn't exist. What you just did there, that doesn't count. What you know that worked 10 times previously, you did it 11 times, nope, doesn't work that time. Lag, let's make sure that doesn't count. Oh, guess what? Hitbox. Guess what? Aim assist. You're like, okay. At that point, it's just like, what's the point, man? And I've been playing this game since like when Dead Hard was an exhaustion perk, like that you could just have and chase at all times. I was playing this game around when Made for This was like pre-patched, like Made for This, like 3% like haste at all times, all injured. Like, we're talking like with Ghostface. I've seen this game with this bullshit. Like, there is just no way around it. Like, there's just so much bullshit in this game. It's diabolical. And I wish there was a solution, but there simply just isn't. This game is not designed for that. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. They say, so my question for experienced killer players is, if with low tier killers is an actually reliable strategic way to compete with a genuinely strong 4-man SWF on cons? Because right now I generally don't know whether I'm missing an important macro concept, or whether these matches are simply so heavily stacked against lower tier killers, there's really nothing meaningful I could do besides expect to lose. Which is kind of where I'm standing, and I could say from experience. Like, I've been maining Ghostface for a very long time on this game, who has been consistently a low tier piece of shit for years, and I can say with confidence, like, you can win if you master your character, but you're not gonna have fun doing it. I can say that without a shadow of a doubt. It's not fun. It's very, very stressful. High cortisol gaming. You will hate yourself and hate the game. I wouldn't recommend it. I would just play something else that rewards you for doing that. They say, I actually like going against Swifts who aren't using voice chat because those matches are challenging and unpredictable, and no matter the result, I usually have a great time. So rare I can count on my fingers how many times I've faced one in the past 3 months. They say, sorry but if this is being read by survivors who rarely play like this, you have to be out of your mind if you genuinely think this is fair, fun, or somehow proof of individual skill. While also humiliating the killer for trying to play solo against a team with a huge amount of normal killer strategy and information based on counterplay is effectively bypassed by voice comms, which is very true. So in classic, moderator fashion from the Reddit, they love pulling out rule number 5. Rule number 5. Every time it's something that they don't like, they'll just constantly keep saying it's rule number 5, rule number 5. And we all know it's bullshit. We all know it's bullshit because notice that it's only if it's talking badly about a survivor player. But I keep seeing killer this, killer that, fuck these killers, this, that, and the third. All of those posts stay up. Like, we've seen this happen. I've looked at the suggested on the side, or I've even looked at your suggestions. It's always the same thing. If it's criticizing killer, it stays up. If it's criticizing survivor, it gets removed instantly. It makes no sense. So you can't claim it's oversaturated if both people are both sides of the coin are doing it. So why not remove both sides of their argument? But they're not doing that. So one person replied and they said that the first sentence you say with a low tier killer, which is a massive caveat which affects the entire post. Strong SWFs are the survivor's version of a meta blight and nurse. You have to use the strongest killer stuff to beat the strongest survivor stuff. And that is the problem. That is the problem. Because that is a fundamental imbalance. Why can the killer be bested by information? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? The killer's not a threat. The fact that voice comms makes him like killers crumble is insane. Like that is a problem. So let's continue. So this person says it's very possible, and I do it often with trapper and registry kills most of the community considers quite weak, which I would say when you look at something like this, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of people like to pretend they are oh, I'm in high MMR or I'm facing strong survivors, but they're not actually doing that. You know what I mean? And the only thing I can really say about that is, like, you have to, like, I understand it too, because a lot of people just don't know what high MMR looks like. They never played in it, so they don't know what it is. I get it. I can at least say with confidence that I've been in there before and I've stopped playing as a result of it. It's just not fun anymore. It never has been, to be honest, but regardless. We also have the non-points by slug and tunnel. That's not necessarily going to be the answer. They also know how to counter that. They love saying this though. Oh, tunnel and slug, tunnel and slug. They counter it. Like, that's the whole point of a SWF. Oh, he's tunneling me. Oh, okay. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll just do this gen. I'll do that gen. Or I'll do this. Like, you know what I mean? I'll blind him. I'll do that. Like, it's not like it's an easy, cheesy win automatically off of that. And it just tells you that they don't know what you're talking about. So let's continue. With a low tier killer, you don't. Once you get a sane 3 gen, they F up massively. Yeah, that's true. So this person wants to say that if you consistently 4K a SWF of good players who voice comm properly and ran meta, this game would be the most killer-sided BS ever. Yet it's currently the most survivor-sided BS ever because of that. So that's still a non-point. You can't say that it'll just be killer-sided. It's already survivor-sided. Anything pushing towards the killer side would just start making it equal at that point because of how ridiculous it is. But a lot of people are saying what I'm saying, like, if you decide to just play a low tier, it's just kind of impossible. Now, like, I understand it's copium to an extent, because obviously other people do win pretty consistently. Trust and Bubba, for example, like myself as well, who have mained low tiers and stuff like that, and we've won very consistently, have a really high win rate, yada, 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 yada. But it's just what I'm getting at from my angle is, like, you're not going to enjoy it. You may be able to win if you dedicate enough hours to, like, mastering whichever character you want to do. I picked Ghostface at the time and Freddy pre-rework and stuff like that. You can win. I'm not saying that you can't, but I am saying that it will require so many hours that it's just kind of not even worth it at that point, because you're just gonna just burn yourself out, because it's like it's so draining having to constantly be on point all the freaking time, be just like because you need to catch things so quick and early before the plays start to unfold. And a lot of the time, especially when you're against a SWF like that, one mistake will literally cost you the match. You will just lose. And there's not a lot you can do. It's just, there's no comeback after that, unless they can make a mistake. And a lot of the time, we're hoping for them to make a mistake is not always the key. You know what I mean? It's not always going to be possible. And it doesn't feel good either way. But I want to hear what you guys think in the comment section. Check out my other channel, my main channel, for my video essays and other gaming topics that I want to talk about. And also consider the Rivals channel, as I've been talking about Rivals pretty much every video. We even have a Rivals chat in the Discord as well. Check out the Rivals channel. I mean, like, you know, give us some love, man. I love Rivals, and I hope to be able to put up more content when I'm actually able to do so. But let me hear your thoughts, man. Consider becoming a member on YouTube or even Patreon, or even subbing on Twitch to help support me directly, so we can actually start making more art on our main channel and stuff like that. All right, we're gonna shout out all the members. So shout out Patreon, Crow Vader. So shout out to Raz Makai, Cozy with Brando, Evil Blade 17 as well. Also Kargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Christian, and Crow Vader. Appreciate you guys, man. If you want your name read off at the end of every video, you can go ahead and become a member. With one of the tiers is the bonus you get. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.